Welcome to our Tuesday Live. Today we're going to talk about how to use Feng Shui to get more productivity out of your office and your business.
We are so excited. Kim has not only an amazing business person, but just a lovely person in general. We've gotten to know her over the last few years. So her name is Kim Juline. Her business is called Finding Your Fiji. And she teaches people, she's a Feng Shui expert and a psychic. She's actually a certified Feng Shui practitioner, an international Feng Shui Guild Red Ribbon practitioner and board member, and a certified angel card reader. Kim, talk to us about how Feng Shui is going to boost our business.
Yeah, so I think the basic thing to start with is what is Feng Shui, because for people that aren't familiar, or maybe they have heard different things or have different, sort of preconceived notion of what it is. First of all, the pronunciation is Feng Shui, not Feng Shui or Feng Shui or whatever. It's Feng Shui, and it actually means wind and water. And so this is really all about balance, and it's an ancient Chinese art and a science. So it's thousands and thousands of years old. It's been used by the Chinese for many, many years, and then was adapted to our Western culture as well. And I like to think of Feng Shui as a tool to help you create the things that you want to be, do, and have in your life. So it's really a way to facilitate that happening, to speed up the law of attraction, and to really balance the energy in your space so that you feel more at peace when you're in your space, right? And when we're more at peace, have more clarity, we're able to move forward with more ease. So that's kind of my view of Feng Shui. On a practical level, we do have a Feng Shui Bagua that we use. That is part of the free gift that you guys will get a link to as well. And that Bagua is a mental map of your space, and it really shows how each area of your home correlates with an area of your life. So I can literally go into someone's home, not know them at all, and tell them what's going on.
I guess for me, I kind of knew what you were talking about as far as the layout of the rooms and things like that. It's just been something I've read about and heard about, but I've never really incorporated it. But one of the things that you just said that totally struck me really hard just a second ago was it helps you be, do, and have, right? It helps you be. And I think that's what we're all starting to realize is that we need to be the person that we want to be in our business, be the person we want to be in our lives, and we need tools that can help us. So I'm excited to learn how Feng Shui can help us, be who we need to be in our business with energy, because it is about energy flow, right? Is that what it's going to do? It's going to help.
Definitely. Yeah, everything is energy. I mean, that's one of the key points of Feng Shui is everything is energy. Even this pen, this necklace that I have on, the shirt. Everything has an energy to it, and it impacts us. It's either going to impact us positively or negatively, or there might be some things that are neutral, right? Where they're just sort of useful things that, aren't having a strong feeling one way or another, but everything is energy. So that's really, Feng Shui uses that concept in everything, right? And intention is key as well, right? So it's not just about moving your stuff around. It's really what are you wanting? What is your intention related to this? And so we focus a lot on intention with Feng Shui as well.
Yeah. And I feel like people don't it sounds kind of woo-woo, if you will, but when you have, for example, a room, whether it's an office or a bedroom, or whatever, and everything feels good. It just, you look around, you go, oh, I love that. And that just makes me happy. And, and that's all part of it, isn't it?
It is, definitely. Yeah. And how you feel. Sometimes it's an interesting thing because I'll go into someone's office and I think of one of my clients in Minnesota, actually. I went to do a Feng Shui consult at her chiropractic office. And the minute I walked in, I was like, oh, we got to move this thing. I don't usually move furniture, but I couldn't even stand it, because I could feel it. And what it was is she had a piece of furniture that had an angle on it, like any square table that has and this piece of furniture was aimed right at the entry door. So the minute you come in, you felt uncomfortable, and you wouldn't necessarily know why. And there's oftentimes where you have a chair that actually has a corner that's aimed at it, and people never sit in that chair. But they may not know why they don't want to sit in that chair, but they feel it.
Yeah, so I feel like people know when they feel really good in a space and know when they don't, but like you said, they don't know why.
They don't know why, or they don't know what to do about it, that type of thing. So a couple things, just since we're gearing this towards business, right, is things that Feng Shui can help with is increasing your income. It can help attract clients, new clients, keep clients, right? It can help you attract opportunities and jobs. Definitely, it can improve your relationships. So there's a lot that we can do to balance relationships, both business-wise and personal-wise, right? Because if we feel supported and balanced in our personal life, we are more successful in our business as well. It can help you feel balanced, just in general, feel calmer and more focused, have clarity about where you're going and what it is that you are headed towards. And then it just brings a harmony. It brings sort of a sense of peace into your business and your life. So there's lots of different things. And I like to say that literally any challenge or difficulty that you have, there is likely a Feng Shui cure for it, or something that we can look at Feng Shui wise in your home or your office to help remedy that. So there's always a cure for that, is kind of like our little saying.
So can you give us, I don't put you on the spot, but can you give us examples of where, because I know for me, I definitely feel better if I'm on a call talking to people, or even doing a video or having these types of conversations when things seem like they're in order. And obviously if the energy's flowing well, which, right now I can tell you it's not, because I feel like there's just so much going on in the space. Yeah. But can you tell us some examples of things that you've seen happen for your clients?
Yes, definitely. So I've had clients, I was just thinking about my client Elaine, who was just feeling unfocused. Like she just was having a lot of trouble focusing at work, and she worked from home, which a lot of us do, and it can be distracting because there's like, oh, laundry, or I'm going to go make some food, or I'm going to go do this, that, or the other thing. So one of the things that I suggested for her, which was just sort of a simple fix, is to bring more clarity. You can actually hang a little crystal, and I'm going to show you guys a Feng Shui crystal. This is a 20 millimeter, so pretty small. It has a little space on the top to hang it, and I typically would hang it either from a 9-inch red string, 9-inch red ribbon, or even I use fishing line as well. I have a little bit of that fishing line if you don't want it to be seen, and you literally can hang it above your desk. And what this does is it sort of helps bring a sense of peace and calm and balance to the space, and also helps you feel clearer. It's a lovely thing to even meditate under a crystal as well, just for that energy of balance. And these crystals have 30% lead in them, which is a balancing. They're faceted, which is also part of the balance energy, and they're round, which again sort of helps alleviate too, if you would have any arrows or any pieces of furniture aiming at you where you sit, it would help alleviate that or disperse that arrow energy as well. So, and when we did this, so when I suggested she do this, she couldn't believe the difference. Like she really was like, wow, I actually feel like I can sit at my desk and I can do my work. And I don't feel like I have to get up all of the time, because that's part of the thing, right?
It's almost like you're feeling agitated,
yes.
or like we always say squirrel, like you just get distracted at every little thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I actually just bought one of those at a market.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. Yeah. I would definitely clear it before you use it. So, and I typically, you can clear it with using a bell. You can sage around it. Those are a couple different ways that that you can clear it. You can put crystals, depending on what kind of crystal it is, in salt that can help clear it, or out in the full moon, that can clear it as well.
Nice. I love that. So that's something that's easy for all of us to do, right?
Yes. Yeah. Super easy.
We'll challenge all of us to do that and then report back. Like,
Right.
it's awesome. Like every little thing we can do that can help, is worth it.
Exactly. Exactly. And the other thing that I think about too with, with your office and in that space of like opening to opportunities, opening to business, to clients, that type of thing, is looking at the path. So oftentimes, like we were talking about, you don't necessarily see the things that are in your space because they've been there so long. So I really encourage people to take a walk from their street to their front door. And like, what do you notice? Is it a clear path? Is it pleasant? Are there weeds growing up through the sidewalk? Are there bushes that have overgrown onto the sidewalk? Can you see your front door? Like, those are all kind of things to look at from a perspective as if you were maybe looking at the home for the first time. And, does this look appealing? Do you want to follow the path to the front door? And are there things like, I often like to put near the front door, create sort of a gateway where you've got maybe a pot of flowers on each side of the front door if you have space to do that. Or in the winter time, for those that are in the northern climates, doing the little spruce trees or something on either side of the front door, something that sort of welcomes the energy, right? And the same thing with your office. So if you have an office, whether it's in a building or in your home, what is the path like to your office? Like, are there, when you walk that path, do you like trip over stuff? Is it clear? Is there furniture sort of sticking out into the hallway? Or, just what is that like for you? And is that path clear? Because that's going to make a difference as well.
I've got so many things to solve.
Little by little. That's the thing about Feng Shui. You don't want to do everything all at once. You want to do it, slowly and with intention, right?
Would you consider clearing and organizing as part of like Feng Shui?
Just even cleaning out one little junk drawer can shift the energy. So it's in Feng Shui, clutter is not our friend. Clutter is stuck energy. And that is sort of the challenge. The number one challenge I see, before you can kind of even do Feng Shui adjustments, it's important to have your space, clear and organized. And actually, this is part of my Love Your Life program. I have a whole bonus module on decluttering, and it walks you step by step through that. And so clutter essentially is stuck energy. And whenever you have like something in your life that you're feeling stuck about, where you're not able to move forward, you can look at the Bagua. I'm feeling really stuck, let's say, for example, in my wealth area. What's going on in that area? Do I have a lot of clutter? Is that my dumping ground for things? Am I keeping my garbage can in that particular area? And this is all based on the front door typically. So the front door is going to be at the bottom of this Bagua, and that's all explained in that free gift too. You can look at that and then just take that one little area where you're having difficulty and focus on that area of your home and start to clean things up, declutter. Particularly what blocks your clarity or vision for the future is things on horizontal surfaces. So if you tend to pile things, right? Or you tend to have, like I've been in a lot of offices where they just have like stacks of stuff like on their desk, right? I tend to like to do more vertical file stuff, right? So that you can actually see, get the things out versus having to dig in a pile for something. So that's one thing in particular that can really shift things, to just even completely clear off your desk and let it be clear for a couple days, right? Where you're just pulling on the thing that you need to work on it. And then once you've done that for a few days, like, okay, now what do I want to add on to my desk, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. If you've ever had a clear desk policy, which we worked with for a long time, You could have like your cup holder there and like one other item. So there was like, you only have 2 to 3 items on your desk, period. And it is interesting when everything, you pull out a file and you work on what you're working on and then you put that away. It really makes a world of difference. And when your desk at the end of the day is always organized, it just makes coming back into your office that much better. And I think one of the things that, do you feel like holding on to things from our past careers can hinder us moving forward? Because I know a lot of times we keep things from things we've done in the past because they have some fond memories to them, but they are still a form of clutter.
Right.
And therefore they're kind of, do you feel like they're blocking in some ways?
That is a great question. I love that. And actually I do. What I typically ask clients is, are the things in your space representing where you are going or where you want to be, or do they represent where you've been?
Yes.
So that's a biggie, because a lot of times people do keep things that represent kind of like where they were, not where they want to be. Right. So that's a really big thing. And I always say, like, you can, if there's something sentimental that you have, that is, that just, like you got an award or something like that, you can always take a picture of it, right? And then release the actual item. Because it's not, if it's not something you're going to display, what's the sense of keeping it in a closet, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like we still keep a lot of paper and we don't need to keep. I get that, your kid writes you a handwritten note or something and you want to keep it for sentimental purposes. But, I know I've got old files in file cabinets that I don't need anymore.
Well, and the fascinating thing that happens when you start to clear that out. So because I moved, I was going through a lot of my files and releasing a lot of stuff and letting go. And there were a lot of files that I touched, and I was like, and the person would come to mind and I'd be like, oh gosh, I haven't heard from this person in a while. I wonder how they're doing. And then like the next week they would schedule an appointment with me. So that can also work to like stir up and it was the craziest thing. I had to tell her, I was like, I was just thinking about you because I was moving and I'm going through, and I was like, I wonder what's going on with her. And then she called and booked an appointment. So I think that's an energy too, right? And you can reactivate clients. You can reactivate the energy of that, and also releasing ones that literally people that you haven't worked with for many, many years. Releasing those files creates a vacuum or an open space for new ones to come in, right?
So let's use the situation where you have this woman. So let's just say you didn't have a need to keep her file. But is there a way for you to maybe think, oh, I'm thinking about this person, let me put them on a list of people to think about or reach out to, or, so that you don't have to keep the physical file? What do you use to like let go of the paper, but yet still keep that person's energy in your energy space? How do you do that?
So what I did in that case, just super simple, is I just wrote their names on a list, right? Yes. Wrote them on paper. I'm very visual, so I do still use a lot of paper. But just writing their names on a list, I was like, oh yeah, that just keeps the energy. And then what you can do is put that list in your helpful people area of your home or your office, which brings that energy of them being helpful to you and vice versa, of you being helpful for them.
Kim has very kindly offered us a free guide. It's called Get in the Flow, with 6 simple Feng Shui keys for your front door. So when we get the chart, is that for your whole house or for each room? Or how does that work?
Or both, actually. Okay. So you can lay it on your entire home based on the front door, or you can lay it on a single room, like your office, based on the door to the office. I don't lay it on every single room. I typically just do that for my office and my bedroom, because I will set up like little, almost like a little altar or a little thing for like my relationship corner in the bedroom. I have a picture of me and my sweetie and, some little hearts and different things like that. So I will do some of those things, and definitely in my office, I do it as well.
Nice. Now, isn't there something about not having things under the bed?
Yes, good. Yeah, so depending on how you sleep. So it's always like we don't want to fix something that's not broken. So if you're sleeping well, don't worry about it. And that's always the case with anything to do with feng shui. If some area of your life is going well, don't mess with it. Like let it be. It's going to be fine. But if you're not sleeping well, the things under your bed, you're sleeping on the energy of that. So I had a client actually that had some, I'm sure you guys have seen these where they have drawers underneath the bed, right?
Yeah.
And he was storing all kinds of movies. And the movies, a lot of the movies were like these, you know, he liked these like action kind of violent movies, that type of thing. Well, he's sleeping on the energy of all of that, right? Not great, really not great. Another client was trying to attract in a new partner. And I said, what's, you know, we got to her bedroom. I said, what's under your bed? She pulled out, I'm not kidding you. It was like a huge picture of her and her old husband, her ex-husband was like under her bed. And I'm like, well, this could be part of the problem, right? You've got this energy of you and your ex under your bed, and your bed is like your most, your bedroom itself is like the part closest to your body, the most intimate. So she got that out of there and was able to attract a new partner in. So that was good. But yeah, so things under your bed, if you do have to store things under your bed, like here, we don't have a lot of storage. And so I do have some pillows and blankets and like some of my winter clothes and like those like zip things that I have under the bed. So soft things. I wouldn't even store shoes under your bed, just soft things like pillows, blankets, clothing. And the other thing to that point about sleeping is if you have a lot of books in your bedroom, like I do not like bookshelves in the bedroom. If you want to have a bookshelf, like you could actually put it in your closet if you have room in your closet. If you have a walk-in closet, I did that in my old house. I had my bookshelf in there. But 1 or 2 books, fine in the bedroom, but not a bunch because all those words are like floating around while you're sleeping.
Okay. Yeah, I do feel like my room is very, I don't have a lot of stuff on the vertical space. You know, I don't have a bookshelf. You know, I do have a basket on my nightstand at the bottom that has like my cards and, you know, a couple books or things, coloring books because I like to color. It relaxes me. But I really try not to keep a lot of stuff in there. However, the drawer in that nightstand, I don't care how much I try, it always gets cluttered.
I think the thing about decluttering and all of that is that everything needs to have a place.
Yes.
If it doesn't have a place, that's when things get out of control. If it has a place and you know where that place is, you can put that item back in its rightful place. And even for me, like once in a while, I'll have a few things of clothing that are laying out for a day or so. But I really feel better when I put things away, when I hang them back up, when I fold them back up into the drawers, all of that. It feels better to me. And just that everything has a place. I do want to, you guys not forget about the desk position, because that's one thing that I want to make sure that that I share with everyone about, how to be in command of your business and your life. So just a couple things. If you're working from home and there's a choice about which room to use for your office, I really recommend choosing the room that's nearest the front door. Regardless of whether you see clients there or not, that's a good choice because it's closest to where the energy and the opportunities are coming in. So that's one little point about that. With regard to your desk, so I've got a couple different little scenarios here showing the command desk position. So here's the door to the office is here. And we want the desk to be in command, the farthest from the door, but facing the door, where you can still see the door. So in this case, this desk where they're sitting, they've got a solid wall behind them, which is also really helpful for support. And they're able to see the door easily. And what does this do? It helps you be prepared for what's coming. It helps you be in a space of like not always having to put out fires. that type of thing. And so being able to see that door, and if you're not able to do that, if you have a situation in a room like I had in my old office, I couldn't face the door. The door was like to the right of me. You want to be able to see the door. If the door is actually behind you, I would put a mirror in front of you somewhere so that you can see the door behind you, to be able to be prepared for what's coming. So here's another example. This is one of those L-shaped desks. And here again, the door is here and they can easily see the door. They're the farthest spot from the door. You can do this angled sort of thing as well. I don't love the angle as much because you don't have a solid wall behind you. You've got sort of that corner. So I don't love that unless that's the only way to make it work. In this case, I would probably turn that desk and put it, put the chair on this wall, is what I would do. So, sometimes the angle can be good. I've done this for clients where, the desk might create a poison arrow to the door. I had a client like that. She was managing a lot of therapists. The business was, therapy, and she was the manager of all these therapists, and they didn't want to come and talk to her. They didn't like talking to her in her office. And what I noticed immediately when I came into the door is that her desk created an arrow aiming right at the door. And so people felt uncomfortable. So we did end up shifting her desk to an angle, and it was like instant. The difference in her approachability and people wanting to come talk to her was instant. Like people just all of a sudden felt, like, oh, I feel better, right? And they don't necessarily know why, and that's okay. They don't need to know, right? But they felt better. But again, I personally would like, I like having a solid wall behind you. I'll stop this share.
So with A and B, the corner of the desk is like kind of facing the door.
It's, I feel like this is pretty close, but I think this corner probably doesn't quite hit the door.
Okay, gotcha.
There. Yeah, I think that one probably doesn't quite hit the door, and this one definitely doesn't, because that arrow would be, more coming off here.
Gotcha.
I would say, you're gonna, when you stand at the door, you would have to look at that and feel it, right, and see if it's actually aimed right at the door.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's definitely something to look at. And the other thing is, if this desk has a rounded corner, you don't have to worry about it. My desk has rounded corners, so I don't have to worry about that. So it depends on the type of desk you have as well. These ones, this leaves you very vulnerable to the door. So you can't see what's coming at you. And in this case, if this was the only place to put the desk, I would put a mirror on this wall so that you could see the door, is what I would do in that case. But you're really vulnerable to the door. You're not going to feel as prepared for what's coming at you. And you're also pretty close to the door. This one too, you're vulnerable because your back is to the door, right? And again, you can't see and be prepared for what's coming. Too close to the door is another sort of challenge. I often see this, and I had a client who ran a very, very successful plumbing business, and he had his desk so close to the door, in a bunch of space behind him. And he also did not have his desk in the command of the space. So he was closer to the front door. Like there were 4 other offices that were towards the back of the space, and his was towards the front. And these other people were sort of taking charge of the business, which you don't want as an owner. So he did eventually move his office to the very back of the space, and he also moved his desk. But this space, when you have your desk too close to the door, this is called the gatekeeper, you're going to have to handle things that you should not have to handle. And that was what was happening with this man. He was having to handle all kinds of stuff that was not in his, as the owner, should not have been handling. His managers, his other people underneath him should have been handling this other stuff. So that's kind of the gatekeeper. This one is difficult because you're in line with the door. And this is kind of the situation I had in my old office. It was the only place to really put the desk. And I was in line with the door, which is a lot of energy coming at you. That's sort of the challenge with this, is there's so much energy coming at you. It again makes it hard to focus or concentrate. And so what you can do in that circumstance is use that same little crystal, same type of crystal, and you would hang that crystal, that 20 millimeter crystal, between the door and your desk, or the door and your chair. Okay. And that will disperse that door energy so it doesn't come right at you, which is what I did in my old home.
And I see that in the pictures you have greenery.
Yes. Plants are always good, especially in your office, even if they can't be living. Any plant that grows up, so you can get a fake plant, or like here I have just some flowers kind of in the background with some greenery. Anything that grows up is really good for your office, because that's about your income going up, and we want that. So we don't want these plants that like sort of hang down in our office necessarily, because that's not the energy that we want. We want things to go up.
Yeah, you made me think about that. Is it the money tree or whatever? It's like the bamboo that spiraled up.
Yes.
That's probably the only thing I can keep alive with a cat and a dog and try not to.
I know. Well, and I have, speaking of money trees, I have this little money tree on my desk, which is got citrine. Yes. And so it's got, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's got little money signs on there. It's gold. And then citrine is a stone for wealth and abundance. So that's just something I have on my, in the wealth corner of my desk.
Well, Kim, this has been amazing. You have shared so many wonderful tips and exciting things. Like Kirsten said, I'm ready to get in here and start moving things around.
So in the comments below, we will put a link to the Angel Circle, which we talked about, a link to Kim's free gift for everyone. And do you want us to put your YouTube channel, your Instagram?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay. Yep. I have a YouTube channel that has a lot of Feng Shui videos. There's a playlist, a specific playlist for Feng Shui that has a lot of videos on Feng Shui on there.